Hey, how's it going? Look, I'm not good at intros or anything, so I'm just gonna go straight to the point. I made a video that was discussing the state of the meta, which was really just me ranting into a void. But a lot of people had a lot of opinions on the video, and I think some were good. I think there's actually a lot of really good discussion points in these comments. So what I'm gonna do here is just kind of post them on screen and give my take on them, and open up for another discussion in the comments if people see this and they want to add to the conversation, please do. Maybe we can come up with something together as a community. So first things first, thank you to anybody for any kind words you said, not just agreeing with me, but saying that you enjoyed the video, that you liked what you saw, blah blah blah. Anybody that said anything positive in my direction, I want to say thank you. Only showing 3 examples, but there was an overwhelming amount of you. So again, thank you, thank you. Second, I did a lot of complaining. Okay, there's no getting around that. I did a lot of complaining. Some of it I still think was warranted. Some of it I think maybe I was just tilted in the moment. The number one thing, maybe I have to issue a public apology to Barbarian players. Really sorry I hurt your feelings. But at least in this comment thread, most people agree that your class is completely broken and needs some sort of a fix. Um, I don't know what that fix could be because they need to do damage. They need to have speed to get to their targets. In my opinion, they just have a little bit too much health. But the way I see it is a class in this game should not have all 3 things. Should not have good tankiness, good damage, and high move speed. Those 3 things should never exist at the same time on a class. And current Barbarian, that's true across the board. Barbarians, on average, at least in High Roller, are going to have 150 to 180 health. They have 310 to 320 move speed. They are dealing like 60 damage to a torso shot. Um, and that's before they press the rage button. So, although I do think I was really salted about Barbs because I had died to like 6 of them that day when I was recording, I don't think it was completely unwarranted. The Barbarian needs a nerf. Okay. If we're going to nerf Druid's Cat PDR and we're going to nerf Bear action speed, why are Barbarians allowed to run around with 170 health, dealing 60 a hit to the torso, with 315 move speed, with their weapon out, by the way? And that's just my thoughts on the class. Now, I could be wrong. I'm willing to admit that. I'm really willing to admit that I'm wrong. I'm not always correct, but I don't know. You salty barbarians can keep your tears in the comments. Honestly, I love reading them. Another talking point that was brought up by a lot of players is the fact that the game wasn't designed for solo play. And I don't think in any point in the video I made I talked saying that it was, or that I said that like I was specifically speaking for solo gameplay. I do know that the ratting situation is much worse in solo than it is in duo trios. Um, but these points kind of are a little off the mark. Sure, the developers say that they didn't intend for the game to be balanced around solos, but a lot of the balance changes they're making directly affect solo gameplay, and they're making those changes to directly affect solo gameplay. There's no data out there about what percentage of players are playing trios, solos, duos, whatever. We don't have that data. I tried finding it. If anybody can find it, please link it to me and I'll edit this, but um there's no suggested data that says that one mode is popular than the other. I will tell you from my personal time playing, again, only like 700 hours in the game, not much. The amount of players I run into are greater in solo and duo than it actually is in trio. And I'm talking in base gear in 125 or 124 and under, in level 1 high roller, in 225 plus high roller. No matter what I do, I run into the most players in solo. Like actually run into the most players in solo. Sometimes when I'm playing duos with Twinkle Toes, there's it's comparable. There are a lot of duos out there playing, But I would not say by any means that this game is like a trio-centric game at this point. I think, I don't know again. Put that disclaimer out there. This is just me guessing. I would say that solo and duo is probably more popular than trios at this point. And even if you're going to make the argument that we can't complain about balance in solos because the game isn't balanced around solos, the game is balanced terribly in trios as well. It's not like trios has like, the most balance ever. I think there's more flexibility in trios. Um, but that just comes from having more people, not for because the classes interact differently. People are running the exact same build in trios a lot of times that they do in solos because it's just the best build. So I could be wrong on this, but saying that the game isn't meant for solo play, I mean, every game nowadays has to have some solo element. It has to. Not a lot of people have two friends that are off work at the same time of them that want to play the game. So I would say even if the game isn't necessarily completely balanced for solos, we still have to treat solos as a part of the game. So we should have some balancing around that. I didn't want the discussion to just be the game is bad. Um, I didn't want it to just be that. I wanted the discussion to be more about what could we do to fix things or if there's any suggestions or whatnot. A lot of people are really just upset with the state of the game. A lot of people. And I know this video, by the way, at the time of recording has like 2,000 views, 200 comments, which is fucking crazy. Again, thank you guys. But I think even if you only look at the 2,000 people, this is like an echo chamber, right? This comment section, it's still concerning that a vast amount of people, like probably 15 to 25% of the comments I'm reading are people just being like, yeah, dude, the game fucking sucks right now. We don't want to play it. It's boring. It's terrible, terribly made, blah, blah, blah. The fact that there's that many people in my comment section, I'm a fucking nobody, guys. Nobody knows who I am. I just started posting videos a week ago. But there's that many people in my video already that agree that the game is in a pretty bad state. I don't want the discussion to digress back into that. I actually want, if you're going to comment, please comment suggestions. If you think something's bad and you want to point it out, go ahead. But with it, I would actually like to see, oh, Druid is overpowered because their movement is so crazy they can get across the mod in a second. Something like that, sure. Then we can discuss something. But just the game is bad, the game is shit, players are bad, players are shit. That discussion will get us nowhere. And if Iron Mace ever does see a discussion like this and they just read that, they're gonna tune out. So I think we should try to have real constructive conversation. I do think that I should also point out that there were a lot of players saying that they're having a lot of fun. So I will take a second out to acknowledge that. These are just two comments, but there's a ton. There's a ton of new players, a ton of experienced players. There's a lot of people that are saying that they are actually having fun, not just because they're ratting or whatever, but because they're actually enjoying. The developers are doing their best, guys. They're trying. All right. I'm not here to shit on anybody that develops a game because they are working infinitely harder to balance the game and to make a game worth playing than we are queuing up and then complaining that we're dying to barbarians. So let's keep that in mind when we're writing our comments. The comment I've seen and agree with the most out of any takes is that randomized maps and hiding the map is needed for all three maps on all levels. Uh, I I get why they wanted to put out the crypt, but having only one map that does it is kind of lame. Maybe it's just because they're testing it. But I think that feature on every map would actually fix a lot of things, and a lot of people do think that. And then the other point, I can't really seem to find any comments to screenshot put on here. Although I remember reading a few. There's so many now I can't go through and find it. Um, Continuous spawning has ruined the game. It's ruined the fun in a lot of the way. At first, I thought it was going to be a good change. I thought that having people flowing into a raid constantly would make it so that there would be less dead lobbies, and there is. That part's true, but it's not fun. It's still buggy to the point where you can literally spawn next to somebody that like spawned a couple minutes ago but was slow to get out of their room, you can spawn in and literally hear people's footsteps in the room next to you because they got into the raid 30 seconds before you did and get to just like, which is like whatever. I did complain about not being able to find people to fight, but spawning in to somebody on top of you staring at you is not fun. That doesn't happen often, by the way. It's a little extreme of a case, but the last discussion point I want to bring up is bossing. It seems impossible to boss. I've myself only been doing bosses for like the last 3 seasons, or actually just the last two, and then a little bit in this season. So I don't necessarily have a perspective on how it was when the game first came out, but overwhelming majority of comments of people want the boss room locked when you're fighting the boss, and I want to agree with that, but let me run you through my thought process here. Is if you lock the boss room the moment somebody starts it, the people that spawned into the raid later than you are now screwed. If you got the first spawn, you get to just rush straight to the boss room, go in, start fighting. Now all the doors are locked, and people spawn in after that, and they're screwed. Also, if you lock the boss room, when do you unlock it? Is it as the boss dies? Because that like doesn't really help. People are still just going to wait outside the door. Is it a couple minutes after the boss dies? Is it a few seconds? Is it once the boss is looted? What Where do we draw the line here? Because it just seems like locking the room straight up isn't good. Now, I had a suggestion, and I want to know how people feel about this. What if there was like a boss key, like a key that you had to get, um, that opened up the boss room? So, like at the skull key spawn in Inferno, what if it's a boss key? Or what if you have to bring in a gem that you power up by killing sub bosses, and then once it's powered up, you can then open up the boss room and go for a fight? Uh, Dungeonborn has a system where they they'll like their Lich King final boss, whatever you want to call him, is its own raid. Like you have to take these special portals to get to him, and then you can solo him and fight him. And his loot isn't the craziest when you fight him, because it's a segregated room that only your team can get into, or at least I think only your team can get into. I think that we should find some sort of solution where people can boss, not in complete peace. I don't think you should just be able to jump into a raid and go solo warlord every single time you log in. I think there should be some friction from other players, but we have to find something where people feel like it's rewarding to go for the bosses. One, when they're learning them, because right now the process of learning a boss is stepping into a boss room, trying it, dying to it, going again, trying it, getting countered, dying to a counter, going, trying again, and it's almost hard for players to learn the fight because half of the time they're going to the boss, they don't fight the boss, they're fighting other players. Um, so I really, really want to hear actually people. This is like the part I'm most interested in hearing feedback on, because I don't think this is something that like is derived from class balance or like what have you. It's literally just an issue of how players play around the boss room. So please let me know what you think. Um, these are just like a handful of topics that I covered. I went through kind of quickly and snipped a bunch of comments that I saw and just wanted to discuss some of the points and really wanted to open up this discussion again because people seem to engage. I love seeing that the community is passionate about seeing people, or is passionate about seeing change come to a shitty situation. People aren't just writing the game off and leaving for other games like Dungeonborn or whatever. People would rather go on to a 40 subscriber nobody on YouTube and complain and be heard there than just give up. I think that level of passion needs to be acknowledged and needs to be shown. Um, so again, just like the last video, if you got this far, thank you a bunch. I cannot tell you. When I saw that that video had over 200 views, I almost like I smiled ear to ear. I could not fucking believe it. And now that it's over 2,000 and still growing and still people are commenting, still like even as I've recorded this, like 5, 6 new comments have come in. That's so crazy to me, guys. Thank you so much. And if you've gotten this far, head to the comment section and let me know what you think. Tell me a suggestion you have. Tell me an insight you have on the game. It could be about anything, but I I really want to hear about the topics we touched on this game or the game, this video. But again, just let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about the game or what you think about the discussion or if this discussion even is getting anywhere. I don't know. I'm just fucking rambling because I have nothing better to do with my life. Um, but that being said, go check out my other videos. There's not many. I made a gold guide. I made a fucking random Sork video. I don't know. There's just go give them a watch. Tell me what you think, and have a nice day, everybody. Love you.